Hello students, this is N. Venkatachalapathi, Professor, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. I would like to discuss on question bank pattern for metal casting process. So in general, for mechanical engineering students, this manufacturing process is a purely theoretical subject, even though you should understand the concepts of the various manufacturing processes and its principle, construction procedure, need sketches, and what are the advantages and limitations and its applications. Okay. Anyway, why I am going to discuss the question bank pattern, either it may be short-term questions or long-term questions and some critical thinking questions. Generally, they ask for the examination. So there are two important things to be considered. One, the student can able to attempt for internal examination and semester examination, and based on these concepts, you can apply for the competitive examination like GATE, IES, and the government sector examinations. Okay. Now let us see the what are the various types of questions they may ask in the examinations, and what level of Bloom's taxonomy has to be followed. Either understand, remember, and analysis, create, like type of questions we will discuss one by one. And actually, the name of the topic covered in this video is discussion on question bank and metal casting process. In the first unit, metal casting process, the course of manufacturing process, how they can ask the main learning outcome of this casting is you can illustrate the importance of manufacturing sciences in the day-to-day life. So every day, what are the manufacturing process are available from the in your surrounding areas, and you are supposed to study the what are the basic manufacturing process and the tools are being used. Okay. And the main important thing is after completion of this course, manufacturing process course, the main outline, the steps involved in making a casting, the desired pattern for an automotive industry. So not only automotive industry, either aeronautical industry or some domestic items and industrial components, especially where in the case of automobile industry, how you can produce a cylinder head, engine block, connecting, etc. So different type of things can be manufactured by different manufacturing technique, and what are the detailed principle involved in that process, and what are the advantages and limitations and the specific application for the particular process. We will discuss in detail in this session. Okay. Now let us see let us see the casting as you studied about. It is a complex shapes can be manufactured. Complex shapes. So this is a Audi car engine. So this is a, you see, by looking at three-dimensional figure, Audi car engine, how it can able to provide. So either in this specification given in the diagram, so it is a supercharged 90-degree, okay, DA V6 cylinder, okay, V6 cylinder. So some of the important, the compression ratio for this engine is 10.3:1, and there is a EPA capacity 17 bar 26 is highway, and assembly site is Győr and Hungary. The application tested is 13 Hori, S5 Koto TFS, and additional application Audi S4, S5, and A6, A7, A8, and Q5, Q7. This is a variety of specification based on the application. The usage of this engine can be adapted, and in this engine having a some torque also, and a specific output 111 HP per liter, and engine have a bore capacity 84.5 into 89 stroke length. Okay, so these are the general. You should have some good idea while studying in a thermal engineering or thermodynamic subject, where you study completely what is the construction position of an engine, either it is a four-stroke diesel engine or petrol engine or air-cooled engine. Nowadays, advanced e-vehicles are coming. Irrespective of the fuel to be used, the power electrical vehicles is going to be exist. But even though they should have some engine, so how instead of this fuel, how they can use the electrical power, that technology is going to be coming in another couple of years to 5 years, so that the student can able to understand outcome based learning in any branch, either it may be mechanical engineering or civil engineering or computer science engineering. You need to understand the basic concept of the course and what are the uses of that, why you have to study this course. Okay, after completion of this course, you are supposed to design a component, or you should have some designing of the pattern or component, or industry related things only. So these and all you can study in the textbook. You'll study the basic concept and all. When you apply, you can able to do for various interactions in what you call internships, and by attending various industries like Ashok Leyland and Kirloskar companies and all, where you can make these type of components and all. Okay, but as you know that the student can study about the manufacturing process, means simply they'll study simple casting and metalworking process and fabrication, welding process, and some of the polymeric process only. But in depth, out of box thinking, you need to understand clearly if any component. So what type of manufacturing process immediately can able to identify. For example, if you see this pen, a pen having a two or three many components. So for example, you can see a cap. This cap is made up of injection molding machine. So inside there will be a refill. This is a some polystyrene material, but this process is a pipe extrusion process. So this is a metal. You can see this is a metal. What type of process it is? A some metal forming process. This is okay. So like that, by seeing the component itself, we can able to identify which process it is, what is the principle of that process, how you can made. You can supposed to understand like this. When a combination of all the parts to form a pen, like that, even automobiles also is either it may be a car or a two-wheeler or a tractor engine, any engine. First, all you should assemble together and to get the final component. Okay, so even for example, if you see the total cycle time for manufacturing of a Hyundai car also, obviously it is a 2 minute 32 seconds. Why? Because the remaining components and all will bring from the various ISO companies and just assemble a small spot welding and some fabrication technique can be used to the driver come and drive the car with the 2 minutes 32 seconds. That is the production time. Okay, overall manufacturing time of a Hyundai car. Not only Hyundai car, any car which is having a similar type of time only, but you need to discuss why you have to learn the various manufacturing process, what is the importance, even for an examination point of view, semester examination. So we can see the simple short answer questions. Nowadays the pattern, it can be vary from the regulations. Okay, once upon a time it's having a some objective type questions, sometimes long term answer questions, some creative thinking questions also will be there. How do you attempt to these type of questions easily? So here, even though it is a short answer questions, especially when you are attending the interviews, or when you are attending some competitive examinations like GATE, IAS examination, this short answer questions, even fill in the blanks, and sometimes objective type also. Four options questions they may ask in the examination. If all those things, if you answer effectively, you need to understand clearly the concept of the manufacturing process. So I would like to discuss in this casting topic. Okay, so these are some important short answer, 2 mark question. Sometimes it is a 1 mark for the some gate and competitive examinations. Okay, so list the common pattern materials. So list the common pattern materials. So that means already I explained clearly in the first class itself. The pattern, the term pattern can be defined as it is the replica of the original casting. But here the definition is not asking. They ask you to list the common pattern materials. In general, the pattern materials are wood, okay, and metal and ceramic or plastics. Okay, based on our requirement and application, the pattern materials can be classified into wooden piece and metal piece pattern and ceramic and plastic pattern, and sometimes synthetic patterns also available. Okay, so these are the some materials, and depending upon the question they asked, it is a 1 mark question. Mean just you can mention the common pattern materials used in metal casting is wood, metal, and ceramic, plastic. That is sufficient. Okay, even sometimes it is a 2 marks question. Why you should write diagrams like that? If you say sometimes if the representing with the diagrammatically, then the examiner can evaluate very effectively. They can give you some good full marks. So if you write theory part and all, sometimes they are not able to give some full marks. Up to the mark only you can able to provide the right answer. And similarly, list a different type of sand for sand molds. So in general, dry sand and green sand, okay, molding sand. So the sand may consisting of various compositions like bentonite, silica, clay, etc. These all those things will be added together. Either it may be hand molding process or machine molding process, etc. So then another important short answer question is, what are the different type of binder used in sand casting? Why you need to use the binder? To have a good strength. There are so many properties of the sand are there: permeability, and compressive strength and refractiveness, so that you can add some binders in order to improve the strength, and the mold cavity should become stronger. You can use the different type of binders like that. Green strength, a green strength of the molding sand is it is having a water means green, dry strength means without moisture. Okay, there is no water content is the dry sand. If there is a water content, is moisture content is there, we will call it as a green strength. Okay, and like that you should able to understand clearly. Up to the mark only you can write the answer, and so that even by attempting the correct suitable answer, then only you will score. If once you score the more than 80% in the short answer, definitely in the long term questions also they can evaluate some nominally and liberally. So if even short questions itself you may answer wrongly, means definitely you may lose marks, theory marks. Okay, so another important thing, cope, drag, check. So here, how do you define the cope, drag? Instead of that, simply you can see the diagrammatic representation. So whenever the three-piece pattern, whenever three-piece pattern to be used, you can use the 3 boxes or flasks. We'll also call the 3 boxes or flags. One is the drag box, and the top one is the co box. In between is the cheek box. So this middle one is cheek box. So one time they asked in the gate examination. So during I think 2001 to 2005, in that during that period they asked one more question. So when a 3-piece pattern used, what is the middle box, the name called? Like that they can give an option. Cope box, drop box, metal box, cheek box, like that. The suitable answer is the cheek box. So like that, instead of writing the theory part, you can represent in the diagram also, so that you may get full marks. Okay, and other different type of questions are defined refractiveness. Already I told the term refractiveness can be defined. It can withstand high temperature. It will resist that material. Okay, refractiveness. So not only refractiveness, some flowability, permeability, different type of properties are there. Green, GCS, green compressive strength, dry strength, collapsibility, hot strength, adhesiveness. Some adhesiveness properties are very, very important while making the hand molding process. It will stick on that boxes or flags effectively if you add that adhesive. That sand should have adhesive property. So in order to stick on to each other by ramming the good stick and even by pouring the molten metal also, that walls cannot be break. So that is why these are some good important properties. That is why you need to, even these questions they ask in the long answer questions also. Why? Because explain what are the different type of properties in a sand casting process. You can at least minimum 8 to 10 properties. That's what refractoriness, flowability, dry strength, green compressive strength, collapsibility, hot strength, adhesiveness. In detail, you can, with the help of the neat sketches also, you can explain in the long term answer. But in the two short term answers, up to the mark, dry strength means there is no moisture content in the dry strength. Okay, so flowability, the material flow, what are the composites or the chemicals added to free flow of the molten metal, that is also one important thing. So this is the way they can answer the short term questions. You can think and relative to the technical term is very, very important. Examples, for example, define the term pattern means simply you should not write histories. The term pattern can be defined as it is the replica of the original casting. Replica of the original casting is known as pattern. Is a pattern. So like that, this replica means this as a same shape component can be. That is why we can also call a pattern. The pattern materials are either it is a wooden piece pattern, metal piece pattern, ceramic pattern, etc. The variety of pattern materials are available depending upon the application and the mass production. Whenever by doing the mass production only you can able to do this thing. Okay. That's why these type of short answer questions will be asked in the examinations. You can able to write clearly up to the mark from technical definitions only. Okay. Now let us see the another continuation of the short answer questions. What is the effect of cohesiveness? This is also one of the sand property, cohesiveness of the sand material. So the cohesiveness, attractive of the sand, and what is the use of core? So the main purpose of the core is making the hollow portion. The core is made up of sand cores. The main purpose of the core in order to make the hollow shapes, that is called core. And another interesting thing, what is the use of chaplets? So another thing is chills also will be there. So sometimes they will ask chills. What is chills? The term chills can be defined as it is the used for directional solidification. Chills are used for directional solidification, where the chaplets are used for to support the cores. Chaplets are used for the support the cores. You can call the this chaplets. So this you can see these are the some three-dimensional figures of the chaplets. So whenever by usage of the support of the cores under, these chaplets can be used to support the cores without distracting of that mold cavity and all. So you can see how the shape of the chaplets can be used. Sometimes they will ask indirect question for the gate and competitive examinations. Okay, chills are used for directional solidification. Directional solidification. Whereas chaplets are used to support the course. This question also asked in the your gate previous questions. Okay, and similarly some different type of sand. What is facing sand, molding sand, and parting sand? So suppose if there is a two flags or boxes will be there. One is the core box and another one is the drag box. So to separation of the two boxes, we can able to use the parting sand or white sand. Parting sand or you can also call the white silica sand will sprinkle into that drag box. Then you can keep the coke box above that, so that it can be separated easily and you can easily understand, because the flask having both sides in the same thing only. It is a hollow part. As you know, that mold box will be like that. So like this, it is a hollow shape, so that even it is top or bottom, which is the exact which has to keep top, which has to keep bottom, means depending upon the potting sand. So the boxes will be separated by using potting sand or white silica sand. Okay, and what is the function of a riser? What is the function of a runner? What is the function of a in-gate? Already I explained in the previous session. That is called sprue runner in-gate. That is the gating system. Designing of a gating system will be explained in the simple definition. So you can see there is a pouring basin and there is a sprue. It will enter, and a small gate, and it will enter into the mold cavity. Okay, so here the riser. So the another important thing, every student can confuse about the riser and runner. So both are in the same thing. Both are tapered one only. The same size also will be there. The only thing is the riser. The function of riser is you should be able to check the molten metal is filled or not. From here, some amount of metal come out from this instead of the runner. Okay, sprue. Okay, so by seeing to check the molten metal is filled into the mold cavity or not, for that reason only you can able to know the riser. That is the function of the riser. Whereas sprue or runner means pouring base into the will enter into the pouring basin to the, and this runner will call it as a sprue. Okay, and runner to mold cavity you can call it as a in-gate. Runner to mold cavity is called the in-gate, and sprue to in-gate in between we will call it as a runner. So these are some important concept related short-term questions. Either it may be 2 marks question or sometimes 1 marks also they will give. So in competitive examination they will ask twisting like type of questions. Okay, so that reason only you should read the textbooks like Ajrat Chaudhary, Raghuvamshi and some P.N. Rao textbooks, so that they can give a clear concept related the metal casting process. But even some 2 marks question also, this is a manufacturing process. You can represent with the help of this diagrammatic, the chaplets. Suppose you forgotten to the definition of the chaplet to support the core, evenly you can draw these type of diagrams. Okay, so like this diagrams you can keep it. Okay, it understand that it is a chaplet. At least the examiner should understand, okay, the student able to know the concept of the chaplet, but even they didn't write the to support the core also, there may be a chance of giving a 50% of marks by reference. Sometimes the full marks also they may give. Okay, so you should have some idea that leads to some good getting the marks. But nowadays the marks is not such important, but our concept and how you apply the creative thinking also very important for doing the good subject knowledge in the your industry. Okay, and what is wrapping allowance? Wrapping, or we can also call the negative allowance also will also call wrapping and negative allowance. This is the only allowance where you can have a negative allowance. Some bent and some wrapping can be done, so that some more pressure will be applied, so that the mortal metal will come out. Some shortage may be occurred. That is why it is a negative allowance also can call. So these are the 2 mark or short answer questions to be answered as per the examination point of view. Now let us see the long answer questions. So this is a little bit, even though in a manufacturing process, the questions seem to be like that. Explain various manufacturing process. It is a general explain various manufacturing process. As an engineer, when would you prefer selecting a casting as a manufacturing process? You can see the what way they can able to put the question. Okay, generally explain various manufacturing process. So it comes under either manufacturing means either casting or metal forming or metal working. Any type of also comes under process, but at least various. At least you can list out the some of the manufacturing process. But it is a 14 mark question or some 20 marks question means you need to write first of all what is manufacturing process and list out the classification of the manufacturing process. And here they can see clearly, as an engineer, you are the engineer, when you do prefer the selection of casting when a manufacturing process. Some complex shaped components to be made, obviously you can go for the some metal casting process, because a simple components will made with this some metal forming, some rolling and some forging, etc. But some complicated shapes for making the die and doing itself a lot of cost incurred on that part, so that this casting is only any complicated shape can be made with the casting process. Like that you can able to write point wise and step wise, and wherever needed you can add the some line diagrams is sufficient. No need to draw the three-dimensional diagram. Some line diagrams which understand clearly about the term manufacturing process and why we are preferring to select the casting process when compared to any other. Why you are going to, that is what I had discussed in the previous classes about what are the advantages of casting process, limitations of the casting process. So these are the some applications. Similarly, all metal forming and metal working and some fabrications process also, like that you should able to add that point also to get good marks. And also define a mold, make a sketch on mold and identify its different elements. So this is what a general casting. So there will be a drag and cope and inside the mold cavity, and there is a gating system or sprue basin, sprue runner in gate. Okay, so that designing of gating system, how you can able to follow that, also you can able to add depending upon the marks allotted. If they allotted for 6 marks, so just you can define the term mold and you can draw the sketch clearly. Mold is the compound. What type of compound? Identify different type of elements. What are they there while pouring the molten metal into that mold cavity? That type of mold can remove what type of other process, short blasting, removing of runners, risers easily. Like that you can able to explain clearly in the examination. And here you can see the one interesting question. Discuss the solidification process for pure metal and an alloy in casting. So how beautifully they made the question here. So it is a casting. Generally the people student having some difficult to understand. Casting is all they will write some casting technique, some die casting and slush casting and centrifugal casting, like that. They will draw the sketch and they will write the advantages, limitations, application. But that is not the correct answer for this. Discuss the solidification process for a pure metal and an alloy. So this question related to metallurgy, mechanical materials and metallurgy concept. Look at for pure metal, solidifications for the pure metal, immediately should have a striker to draw this diagram. Cooling curve of a pure metal, how it will solidify the starting. So there is a solid, liquid, solid plus liquid. So what about the temperature and time? So this also clearly discussed in the TTT diagram or isothermal transformation diagram, and S curve, that type of also you can discuss. And here the pouring temperature starts here, and this is the cooling rate and the thermal arrest constantly and equilibrium freezing temperature. So this is what about the total solidification time start with the pouring temperature starting to the equilibrium freezing temperature. The duration we call this total solidification time. We should give the proper solidification time, then only you can obtain the sound castings. Otherwise, it is very difficult to get the sound castings. Okay, and like that, you can able to explain clearly the solidification process. If you explain some casting process that is difficult, you won't get good marks. Okay, so here first of all, either it may be casting or any other process also, the solidification process, a pure metal, either it is a ferrous or non-ferrous, etc., how they can follow the different type of crystal structures, BCC or HCP or FCC, either it is a magnetic structure or non-magnetic type. So what is the packing factor for BCC, what is the packing factor for FCC, what is the packing factor for SCP structure, all these things should be understand. You can project it properly so that you may get the 20 out of 20 marks in the long answer questions. And another question here, see, draw a sketch to describe the procedure to place screw and risers in the shan mold. So anyway, even they didn't ask. So here, in this case, discuss the solidification process for a pure metal and alloy. They didn't mention about the diagram, but you need to draw the sketch. This is the cooling curve of a pure metal. So if you explain in this way, definitely you can score the more marks. And also you can see what is a pattern, explain different materials suitable for the pattern making. So this combination of all 2 marks questions also will come to one long answer questions. This what is a pattern? The term pattern can be defined as it is a replica of the original casting. A simple 2-mark definition. Then different pattern materials suitable for pattern making. So first and foremost thing, wooden piece material and metal piece material and ceramic, plastic. So you are supposed to discuss one by one material and what are why you have to select the wooden piece pattern only, why you have to select the metal piece pattern. There should mass production, obviously you can use the metal piece. Some limited components, so you can use the wooden piece pattern. Some advantages, some disadvantages also will be there, and based on that defects only you can able to identify a dimensional accuracy, good surface finish required. Obviously you can able to go for the metal piece pattern, and more number of components to be produced, that is 100 to 1 lakh components, obviously should go for the metal piece pattern. If you repeatedly use wooden piece pattern, what will happen? Some scratches and some material will be over. Again, you have to reuse that, prepare the wooden piece pattern. So this is the way you can able to answer the long term questions. Now let us see. These are the another important type of long term questions where you should able to understand. So name the different type of patterns. Explain with the neat sketches about split pattern, discuss its issue. So clearly you can see, even first to list out the different type of pattern, 2-piece pattern, stepped pattern or single piece pattern. Okay, and what you call gated pattern, skeleton pattern, sweep pattern. Okay, leg board pattern. Okay, right board pattern. So like that, different patterns are there. In that they ask you to specifically split pattern. So why the split pattern? What is the neat sketch of the split pattern? Uses and that is demerits also, and applications also should mention. Like that, you should understand all the patterns also, how we can able to explain. Similarly, gating system. So already I have discussed in the previous slides about good gating system. That is sprue. SRI, sprue runner in gate. Pressurized system, unpressurized system. So pressurized system is 1:2:0.5. Unpressurized system 1:2:2. So like that you can able to explain clearly about the gating system with the neat sketches, and also essential properties of the mold sand. That's what I explained earlier. And what is the function of a core? Okay, what are the core prints? Core prints are the projection of the cores. In order to support the projection of the cores, core prints can be used. And what are the hot chamber, cold chamber in a die casting? When you're using hot metal, you can use the hot chamber. For a cold So that is the metal at the room temperature, you can use the cold chamber. Okay. So like that, advantages, the limitations of the general casting process, and what are the basic requirement of the mold. Okay. And what are the factors which affect the choice of particular casting process, discuss. So there are simple casting process and special casting process also is there, like investment casting, centrifugal casting, etc. In that, why you have to select that process, what are the factors which will affect that choice, why you are choosing that only. Okay, some toys and all investment casting can be used differently. Some manholes, spun pipes and all, we can use the centrifugal castings. So like that you can able to understand, you can explain clearly. And distinguish between a pattern, mold and casting. It is a general thing, but if it is given by 15 marks, you can first start about what is pattern, types of pattern, pattern material, pattern usages. Like that you can explain. Similarly, mold and casting also. That flow diagram also you can able to represent in casting. And finally, allowances. While designing concerned, the pattern allowances are very, very important for designing a pattern. There are 5 type of allowances are there: shrinkage allowance, draft allowance, machining allowance, and shake allowance or bent allowance. These are the 5 different type of allowances are there. You should explain one by one with the neat sketches so that you may score full marks. Even some type of one simple problem, example problems, you can take it and you can explain clearly, you may score good marks. Okay. And finally, this critical thinking questions, the problem solving critical thinking. Generally, in the manufacturing process, it is a purely theoretical subject. But if they wanted to give any problematic, problem means in the pattern allowances, they may chance of giving, and the gating system. So how do you determine the pouring time in a pouring basin? There you can apply the aspiration effect and continuous and Bernoulli equations to solve that equations. Okay, these questions can be very, very important for the attempting the competitive examinations or gate IAS examinations. Okay. And here you can see the general pattern allowances classification. So here with one example, that is what you can take one example, and what type of allowances you can apply it for that component. If it is a vertical component is there, to remove properly, some type of draft allowances to be used, either internal draft or external draft. And similarly, what die casting method is mainly used for non-ferrous metals only. So non-ferrous metals such as aluminium, brass, copper, bronze, etc. And why venting is necessary in a die casting? Venting to exhaust gases coming out. We should provide some venting is very, very important. There you can explain clearly die casting, the diagram, and what is the principle and construction procedure, advantages, limitations, and application. And you can add the venting is a main parameter to discuss clearly in the die casting process. We should provide vent holes to escape the exhaust gases. Like the critical thinking questions also asked for any university examination, semester examination pattern means at least 20% of the questions comes from the critical thinking questions. Immediately the student difficult to understand the pattern of that questions. So like that you can see the first question itself: why coarse sand is better for steel casting than fine grain sand? Why is it? Why is it that the castings increase in size? It is often better to use the increasing coarse sand. So, but here the way preparation of the question is still difficult, but the simple you can explain what are the sand properties. Okay, and also what is the uh, ingredients to be used that sand, either bentonite, and what is the percentage of, and here the steel casting, what are the process to be used for steels. We can explain that also. Okay, so like that specifically you can write the answer so that you may get good marks in the examination. But when you wanted to out of box thinking, when you wanted to identify any manufacturing process, you need to study not only textbooks, some journal papers, some advanced articles you are supposed to read, so that you will have a good idea to understand all type of manufacturing process. Okay, I hope the student can understand clearly how do you attempt the 2 mark or short answer questions, long term answer questions, and critical thinking questions, and some problem solving questions also. Okay, so thank you for this session. So in the next session we will discuss on the second module. Okay, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.